Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics.
Salutations everyone, I'm Alexandr, and today we're taking a look at Solar Titans, a space opera deck building tableau game by SunnySideUp Games. Please bear in mind that this is a preview based off of a prototype copy. As such, nothing is finalized, and anything seen herein is subject to change. In Solar Titans, 2 to 4 players will battle one another in massive starships. Your goal is to take out your enemy's command deck before they can do the same to you. For setup, we'll be covering a standard 1v1 game, though the rules for a free-for-all are the same and there is a cooperative mode available as well. We'll get to the alternate modes in a little bit. Start by shuffling up the ship layout cards and dealing out 2 to each player. Players will each choose 1 to keep and arrange their 8 starting ship cards to match their chosen layout. This includes their command deck, crew quarters, targeting bay, an alpha laser, and 4 light plate cards. Each player will also take 5 field repair cards and stack them in numerical order so that the 1 is on bottom and the 5 is on top. Players will then shuffle up their starting decks consisting of 7 cargo crews, 2 arming crews, and 1 crew coordinator. After that, set up the market by shuffling the market deck and dealing out 6 cards. Set stacks for the hauling crews and mercenary crews nearby. Players each draw 5 cards. Whomever had the lowest number for their ship layout goes first, and will discard 1 card of their choice from their starting hand. With that, you're ready to begin. On your turn, you may play any and all of the cards in your hand. Though before that, be sure to check and see if your crew quarters is in working order. If it's damaged, you'll have to start by discarding 2 cards, so make sure to keep it well protected. The simplest action you can take during your turn is to purchase cards from the market. If you have sufficient credits, simply pay the cost in the lower right corner and immediately place the card that you've purchased into your discard pile. You'll immediately draw from the market to replace the cards so that there are always 6 in the market row. And if you can still afford it, you may buy any new cards that come out this way. You may also purchase any number of hauling or mercenary crew cards that you can afford. Whenever you would scrap either of these, return them to the appropriate stack so they may be used again. Any other cards are removed from the game when scrapped. Bear in mind that not every card is a weapon. You also have a number of different types of armor and other parts that can support your ship. There's also specialty crews available, such as the transport crew, which can place a purchase card on the bottom of your deck rather than into your discard pile. Before long, you'll draw your arming crews, and later in the game, you'll likely be using mercenary crews as well. These may be played out to either immediately fire a weapon, or set aside and save for a later turn. Most weapons only require a single crew to arm them. However, if your targeting bay is damaged, you'll need to use an extra crew for each weapon you wish to arm. You may fire as many weapons as you're able to arm, but may only fire each of them once per turn. There are 4 main types of weapons, though each type has a number of variations available for purchase. The most common of these are frontal attacks, indicated by red arrows. When you fire one of these, choose a single column on your opponent's ship. The foremost card will take that much damage. If it's greater than or equal to the card's defense value, they'll flip the card over to show that it's been damaged. Multiple weapons may fire at a single card if necessary to damage it, but bear in mind that frontal attacks never damage more than 1 card, even if there's damage left over. Wide attacks represented by orange double arrows work similarly to frontal attacks, only you choose 2 adjacent columns. The full damage is applied to each, but again, only the first card in each column is affected. The third type of attack is piercing damage, represented by a purple arrow. Like frontal attacks, these will attack a single column. However, unlike standard attacks, these will pierce through and continue to hit additional cards in the same column if there's any damage left over from the first target. And finally, yellow arrows represent flanking attacks. These cards allow you to target cards from either side of your opponent's ship rather than the front, allowing you to put pressure on parts that would otherwise be protected. Of course, firing weapons is all well and good, but the alpha laser that you start with won't be doing much damage on its own. And on top of that, you're pretty vulnerable at the onset. To that point in purpose, you'll need to constantly be upgrading your ship. As soon as you start drawing ship cards into your hand, you may play them. Ship cards may be played fairly freely, but there are a few rules that you have to follow. Firstly, all parts of your ship must be connected to one another. This means that whenever you play a new card, it must be placed orthogonally adjacent to at least one other ship part. You may scrap any cards you no longer want to keep, simply remove them from your ship and set them aside. They will not be used for the rest of the game. Certain cards also allow you to rearrange parts on your ship. This will usually be done via hauling crews, although some cards, such as nanoplates, can be moved without any other card to aid them. Whether placing, scrapping, or moving cards, there are a couple other things to keep in mind. You may never have more than 15 ship parts, and they must all be able to fit within a 5x5 grid. As aforementioned, all parts must be attached to one another, but you may combine movement, scrapping, and playing new cards in multiple steps to keep cards attached, so long as you are following these rules when you end your turn. When a player ends their turn, they discard all cards that they've played, as well as any left over in their hand, with the exception of unused army and mercenary crews. These will stay out for use in future turns. After that, you have the option of using some of your field repairs. To do so, simply flip over the top field repair card, and then flip a damaged ship part so that its operational side is visible once more. Do note that some cards will have this symbol on them. That means that the part is too complicated to repair mid-battle. Once it's gone for good. You may do multiple field repairs in a single turn if you'd like, but bear in mind there is no method to regain them. After you've spent all 5 of them, there's no way to get them back, so be sure to time them wisely. Finally, draw 5 cards to form a new hand and play passes to the next player. Turns will continue to go back and forth like this. If you destroy your opponent's command deck, then you've won. Although designed first and foremost as a 1 versus 1 title, there are a number of options for 3 or 4 players. In a free-for-all game, setup and gameplay is mostly the same. However, you only need to destroy 1 command deck to win. Whomever scores the killing blow is the winner. There's also a few different team modes, the most interesting of which is probably the Titan duel. Instead of each player having their own ship, each team of 2 players will control a shared Titan ship. After choosing their ship layout, each team will be able to freely add an extra alpha laser and 4 more light plates as they see fit. Each player also has their own set of field repair cards, but they each only start with 3 this time. Titans are larger than standard ships and may fill a 6x6 grid. So long as they fit within this grid, there is no limit to the number of cards a Titan may be built from. Players will take turns alternating between teams. All ship parts in play are shared between teammates, but your hands are kept separate. Aside from that, it plays very much like a standard game, and you win by destroying your opponent's bridge. Beyond that, there's also a cooperative and solo mode available for 1 or 2 players. Setup for human players is the same as in standard play, however, you'll need to prepare an Automata Titan as your opponent. This will start out with more parts than human players, especially if you opt to try for the hard mode. You'll also draw 1 to 3 Automata cards to further customize your difficulty. These give the Automata unique advantages to counteract the simplistic nature of their decision making. At the start of the game, and after each Automata turn, you'll draw a number of cards from the market deck equal to the number of players. This tells you what the Automata will do on its next turn. If it's not a ship part, scrap it immediately and replace it with another card. Players get to go before the Automata and take their turns as normal. If you damage the Automata's crew quarters or targeting bay, immediately remove it from play and replace it with the top card of the market deck. If it's not a ship part, scrap it and draw another card until it is. The Automata never takes penalties from a lack of either of these components. On the Automata's turn, if it drew a non-weapon card, it will replace a damaged part with it. If there are no damaged parts, it will replace any lower cost non-weapon card with it. If there are no such cards, it will simply scrap the card. If the Automata drew a weapon card, it will fire all weapons it currently has equipped. They never activate any special abilities, but since they're automated, it doesn't have to worry about arming crews or the like. After that, it'll take the new weapon card and replace a damaged weapon. If there are no damaged weapons, it will instead replace a cheaper weapon card. The Automata will resolve each of its drawn cards this way, meaning it'll act twice each time in a cooperative game. After this, you'll once again draw a number of cards equal to the number of players, preparing it for the next round, which once again will begin with each player taking a turn. If the market deck runs out, or the player's command decks are destroyed, then the game ends immediately and the Automata wins. If the players manage to destroy the Automata's command deck before either of these things happens, they are victorious. As this is a prototype copy, I'll not be going into component quality at this time. What I can say is that Solar Titans is a clever take on an existing genre. The purchase mechanics aren't anything that deck building fans aren't used to, but taking the cards and using them to build a tableau and pitch them in battle like this is a very interesting direction to take the genre, and it does this well. There's a wide variety of different cards you can purchase, and not just in the weapons, but the support modules as well. As for the cooperative mode, since there's really only 2 actions that the Automata is going to take, it's a lot less luxury than games that I usually see starting as a competitive game and having the cooperative mode added in. Although it is still possible for the Automata to get a powerful weapon early on, which can throw the game. That being said, I'd still say that the competitive mode is where this game shines brightest. If you're looking for a deck builder that makes more use of table space and positioning, this is definitely one to keep your eyes on. Since this is a prototype copy, I'll not be giving Solar Titans a formal review score at this time. What I can say is that it's been a blast to play, and I can't wait to see what comes of it. And for fans of Tabletop Simulator, you'll be happy to know that there are 3 mods available for Solar Titans. One for a standard 1v1, one for multiplayer, and one for solo and cooperative modes. As always, I'm very supportive of devs that are confident enough to put full games out for players to try on Tabletop Simulator before committing to buy. It shows a level of assurance in their product that they know they have something worth playing and aren't afraid to let players see if it's a fit for them. Be sure to check out the links in the description if you're interested. Solar Titans will be launching soon on Kickstarter, is currently aiming for Q3 of 2023. If you're interested in backing or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Solar Titans? What upcoming deck builders are you looking forward to? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.